YouTube family. This is Guns, Optics, and Reloading. This is Brian coming to you today with this year's first project. And I guess you can see kind of what I'm looking at here. I've been thinking about building one of these for a while. Not just an AR upper, but a nice 6.5 Grendel upper. I wanted to see what some of the long range stuff can do with the AR platform, and so we're gonna build one of these. So I thought, why not for the beginning of the year? Let's do a video on how I would build a 6.5 Grendel upper and what I'm gonna do to make this the most accurate rifle I can get. Of course, you know, buying quality parts is always gonna be one of your best options, but you know, there are some little things that you can do in order to get the most out of your money. So here's what I picked up. I've got a nice billet upper. I believe this is from a company called SOTA, S-O-T-A. Don't know a lot about them, but they had a good price on it. Forgive my Weimaraner, she's just running around being crazy. Got a nice Saturn 24-inch 5R rifled barrel with a headspace bolt. Got some other pieces and parts, you know, the hand guard, you know, the upper pieces, bolt, you know. So these, I'm just going to show you kind of what I'm going to do to build this as accurate as I know how to do. I'm sure there's some of you out there who know how to do this way better than me. And please, by all means, comment, like, share, give me any more advice that you have that could make this a better rifle. Always start off with a good cup of coffee too. Don't mind if I do. So anyways, so some of the first things you want to do when starting this, I always like to lap the receiver. As you can tell, the receiver is nice. It comes out decent. But you know, this is always not perfectly flat. If you buy good quality parts, you shouldn't have to do this. I still do this anyway just to get the most accuracy that I can do. But always go through, inspect your stuff. I noticed with this one up in here in this little gas tube, where the gas tube comes in, there were some little flakes in the aluminum. I went ahead and took a little tiny file and just knocked those out. Nothing big. But you know, always go through your receiver before you get started, inspect it, make sure, you know, it's what you want and that there's no real bad defects or anything that you can't do. So one of the first things we're going to do is we're going to lap this receiver. And I have one of the Wheeler lapping kits over here. And let me go ahead and get this all put in this vise. And we're going to start with that and we'll show you how to do it. Alright, if you don't have one of these, I suggest you get one. It's a Delrin upper holder. It's made out of, you know, really hard plastic so you won't scratch your receiver when you're working on it. You know, it helps you put it in your vise. And you know, you can lock it in there real good, so that way while you're working on this, you know, you can hold it in your vise, not scratch it up, anything like that. So that's part one. So I got to put my camera in its thing and we'll get started with the next part. This is a Wheeler kit for lapping your receiver. I've used this quite a few times in building uppers, and I really like it. So basically what it is you put some lapping compound here, around here, and this goes in the receiver, and you use a little bit of oil. Obviously it's a little tight as you can see, and then basically you hook this up to your drill. Let's screw this in here. Hook this to your drill, and then with the lapping compound in here, you basically just sit there and spin this sucker until the front edge of this is perfectly flat. And I'll go through. So what I do is you put a little 3-in-1 on here, and you can use any kind of oil you want, but essentially, you know, don't want to hurt the receiver. So just gonna put some oil in here while I'm spinning this sucker around so I don't scratch nothing up. There we go. Alright, get that nice and lubricated. There we go. Take this and hook it to your drill. that. All right. And this is a flexible, this part's flexible. I'm not flicking the bird, sorry about that. That's flexible, which is nice. And then you got your lapping compound. It's a 220 grit. And what I do is I just take a little Q-tip here. And just put some right here on the edge of this. You just want it right here on this edge. You know, it's going to make a little bit of a mess, so don't worry about that. Okay. Then essentially, you just take this now. Run that through. Just a little pressure. And then what I like to do is I go ahead and run it in reverse too, and that keeps the lapping compound going. Got to be careful they're not to unscrew it like I just did. And then every little bit you just kind of come back over here, pull this lapping compound off the edges because it'll get a little messy, and then just kind of put it back here in center. And then run it again. Basically, I'll run it till I don't hear that gritty sound anymore. Then I'll just come back here, put a little more. Run again. Anyway, so I'm going to go sit here and I'll finish this off, and then I'll show you what it looks like when I'm done. So we have finished lapping this receiver. So now you can see how the front is nice and flat and smooth. So that barrel is going to mate up really, really nice with that. So I will tell you guys, this is a messy thing. It takes a long time. It probably took over half an hour to do that. And as you can see on the inside where that thing spins, even though I oiled it, you know, it still gets a little bit of, it'll still wear off some of that finish on the inside of your receiver in there. That's why you gotta be real careful. You don't want that lapping compound getting, you know, too far in there. But you know what? I think that's fine. I'm not more too worried about it because that right there is what I was going after. A nice flat edge. So, all right. So that is the lapping process that I do. And of course, you know, you got to go through and clean everything really good. That's why this is all shiny, because I was using some Hornady One Shot, just getting all the grease, all the compound, cleaning it out. So when you're done with that, you got to make sure you clean your parts really good. So okay, next step we're going to do is put all the parts in this upper receiver. So that's next. Here we go. We're going to go ahead and put together some of this upper parts. Some of this might take longer than some of you can probably do this, because as you know, in most of my videos, anything that can go wrong will go wrong. So first thing I'm going to do is take a nice sip of my still pretty hot coffee here and get ready. All right, so first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to put in the forward assist piece here, and simply you're just going to see how this is angled that direction. That's the way you want it to go in. Put the spring on it, insert like so, and then what I do is you can look down and you can see where there's a little notch, and after you push it in so far, that little notch opens up from there to all the way up forward. So pretty much anywhere in there you can do it. You want to take yourself a little drop of oil, just kind of get some oil on this little piece here. Just any little, trust me, this kind of stuff, any little bit helps, because this can really be frustrating sometimes. Again, get yourself a good set of you know, roll pin starters or anything like that. Get yourself a good punch set, you know, so that you can start this stuff The hardest part of doing this, quite honestly, is you need 3 hands sometimes. See, again, this is where punches come in. You need the right one for the job.
Ray, it's me working on my stuff. Ray, stop.
And see, nice and installed. You can go ahead and look down the receiver and push that to, you know, look down there and make sure that's, let's see if you can see that actually. See that moving right there? There you go. See? Boom, boom. All right, so that's it. That actually worked. I'm kind of impressed. So I'm just going to take my little flat punch here. I'm just going to tap this 1 or 2 more times just to make sure it's nice and flush. Some of the other stuff you can do, you know, tape up your receiver if you're not, you know, if you're very paranoid about getting scratches, whatever. I am not, you know, whatever. It's going to get scratched. All right, so your next fun project is going to be getting this spring on. You know, your dust cover, essentially. This is always fun, trying to maneuver this bad boy, so let's see. This goes this way. You're going to spin this around 1 time, like so. Get your spring through it. And get it lined up. And check it to make sure it works. Of course, my rod, of course, is not all the way through like it's supposed to be. There we go. So now I'm going to check it. And guess what? I did it wrong. I didn't get enough torque on that spring. All right, so again, this is where learning comes in. You know, like I said, this is probably one of those things where guys who have done this a billion times are always like, come on, Brian, this part's easy. You're an idiot if you can't do it. I guess I can fall into the idiot category every now and then. It does happen. Let's try it again. There we go. It's all about getting that little tiny piece flipped around the right way so that it actually engages the spring. Alright, so we have our little forward assist for the bolt carrier, and we're ready to go. So next, we will put on the barrel.